the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting. So come and join the conversation. Eisner approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
So anyway, Dal, to recap, I think you are absolutely correct that Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega from Wrestle Kingdom 17
Wrestling Kingdom 17
is probably match of the year.
Yeah, I think I'd said the only thing that could possibly top it at this point would be a rematch.
Yeah.
Like if those guys faced each other again, which they definitely will, and then found a new high gear to go into.
Kenny was ruthless. Kenny was a monster.
It was great, yeah.
So violent.
Yeah, Will Ospreay sells great and sold great for the entire match. It just, it was pretty much
sold. What do you mean sold? He had his head beaten through a table.
Through a table. It took a couple hits.
You think he sold that? That was Hardway, man.
There were things he sold. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a highlight of Wrestling Kingdom 17.
Well, there we go. That's as much as I had to talk about this week.
Here's the thing I was thinking about last night. I've been working a lot on our upcoming redesigned website.
Can I just say that when I went to the website today at the store on the left computer to look up a book, it was in preview mode for the new site.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought that the site had switched over. I'm like, oh my God, he did it. He did it.
It could. I mean, we could go live with it tomorrow. It's not finished with some of the things I want to do, and I definitely want more feedback from the people at Challengers. But it's pretty much done.
Well, let's take a step back and talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I explained all that to Gina today. And she said that she doesn't know that she has feedback because she's not interacting with the site in the way that we're designing it for people to use.
Right. I mean, I guess what I wanted to make clear to the people who are going to be giving us feedback, the employees, is to look at it in the sense of, like, if you were trying to buy comics off of this website.
Okay.
How is it working? Can you find what you're looking for easily? Does it recommend things that make sense? Is the information that you'd expect to see for an item there? I'd mentioned when we were talking to Stella and Molly Jane about this, that at one point I needed to have a tab open of an online retail site that I go to regularly just to get a sense of, like, instead of how, what Challengers is trying to say or what message we're trying to send with our website, what are the basics of an e-commerce website? And are we meeting those expectations? Like, that's stuff that we never really used to think about. And it's only been about 6 months maybe since our Shopify storefront has become our main website. For over a decade, our website was a mixture of, like, information about the store and links to other sites and maybe some community building and that sort of stuff. It was steadfastly not commerce related. And
that is a thing that we are making a conscious decision to change.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic hit, and suddenly the calculus of, like, you don't need to be online and sell online was like, you absolutely do to some degree. Even if it's just for local shoppers, you need to have something they can look at to make a purchase before they come in. Because at the time, people were definitely trying to limit how much time they spent away from their homes. The site that we have was kind of not quickly developed, but we used a free template from Shopify, and we plugged in the things we needed to plug in. And over time, again, that was originally just a place we'd send people to buy stuff, and now it's our main interface with people on the internet. Now that we've reached that point, it was worth re-examining, like, okay, can this be better? And some of it is, mechanical, where we're going from Shopify's online store 1.0 to Shopify's online store 2.0 templates, which have more functionality and greater customization options and all sorts of different stuff that gives us a lot more tools to make the site look better and be more what we want it to be. And so that's kind of where we're at right now is the build-out process of that. We won't go live with that site until after the sale because I didn't want to do anything that would make things potentially more complicated or error-prone for people that are hitting our website for the first time in a year. But then after that, we'll go live with it. And yeah, it's trying to figure out what the site should look like and how we can kind of meld, what Challengers is and the sort of in-store experience with basic functionality for an e-commerce website that we've never really thought about before. But anyway, I've been knee-deep in that.
Yeah.
And...
Or do you think elbow deep is more appropriate since you're typing? That's like you're putting your hands in first.
No, it feels like it's a slowly rising thing
it.
that's eventually going to drown me. One of the key components of our website is Managed Comics integration. That's a huge part of subscription management and sales tools and all that sort of stuff. So I've been looking at Managed Comics stuff and thinking about Managed Comics stuff more, and I realized, kind of in conjunction with some stuff that happened this week where people had errors / questions / complaints about Managed Comics, that I thought about, like, what do I want Managed Comics to be? What is the version of the consumer-facing portion of Managed Comics that would make my life the easiest? And so this is going to be an extended, like, open letter to Managed Comics. It was something I thought about typing up and trying to send to Brian Garside, but I thought, Jesus Christ, like, one, I don't have the time. Two, I don't know that I'd explain it well by typing it up. So it's mostly going to be me trying to explain it to you, and you hopefully giving me some pushback or asking for more elaboration, and we can try and figure out a way to explain this where hopefully Brian Garside won't want to throw us both into Lake Michigan when he's here in the springtime. So basically, it's kind of a combination of what Managed Comics does now and what the parts that I liked from Pullbox. One of the things that we get asked most frequently when people are having issues with Managed Comics is essentially like, okay, issue 1 of a series is coming out and I want to get cover C.
Yes.
But then going forward with issue 2 and up, I just want to get cover A
A.
because cover C might not exist, or
Correct.
it might be by a different artist. And there's not really a great way to do that. You can set a date on Managed Comics for when a series subscription starts, but that's never really worked great for us. We've had people sign up for stuff on the website that shouldn't get them pulling issues, but it immediately gets them pulling issues, and so it's not clear why that worked. And a lot of the, like, subscribe me to C, but then default me to A if C doesn't exist, also has never worked right for us.
Which is a functionality of Managed
It's a
Comics.
core function. You can just flag it. And
in theory.
It seems like it would work great, but it's never worked great for us for either background reasons where we weren't getting C and it still wasn't pulling A for somebody, or more often, we get C, but C's an incentive cover. So Managed Comics thinks we got C, and so we can't tell it, no, we did, but you can't pull it for this guy. Pull A instead. So it becomes a whole problem where we end up just defaulting to, like, resubscribing people to the A cover. So here's what I want Managed Comics to be. When you subscribe to a title, you are just creating essentially like a little note on someone's account that says they're subscribed to Batman.
Yes.
When the new catalog rolls out each month, Managed Comics goes through those little notes and then creates on your customer page a little thing that says, hey, from the new catalog, here are the Batman issues. Pick the cover that you want. So you say, okay, I want Batman 133 cover A. And you hit A, and they're like, okay, great. And now you have a pre-order section that is everything you're down for. And that's Batman 132 cover A, 133 cover B, 134 cover A, 135 cover A, and so on. So there's a section now where people know exactly what they're down for, because that's a thing that we also get a ton of complaints about, where people don't know where their subscriptions start, what issues they're down for. You're already falling asleep. I'll try and be.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I wasn't aware. Is that a thing that it already does, or this is the thing you're asking?
This is the thing I want it to do. This is my idealized version
so
of Managed
people would
Comics.
have to every month, or can they default to just A and not have to?
Well, so this is the thing. So instead of the
what happens on my face that makes you think I'm?
your eyes start to drowse.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they definitely like you start. I start looking at you and you look like this,
Huh?
and it's like, oh, you're falling asleep. I see it a lot. Don't worry about it. Currently, what you have in Managed Comics, for people who've never used it, when you go to your customer page, you have a section at the top that says subscriptions.
Yes.
And then you have a section that says pre-orders. And then below that, you have a thing that says inactive subscriptions, which could be either something you've removed from your list or something that's just not coming out right now. The thing that's frustrating about that, I think for a lot of people who don't have a lot of experience with Managed Comics, is that they frequently see a subscription to the top, and it'll say, your subscription doesn't say Batman. It says whatever the next issue of Batman is. So it'll say Batman 132, cover A. People see that and they think that's all they're down for. They don't realize that is a recurring subscription, and that number will change as new issues come out.
They're also going to get 133 cover A and 134
cover A. So we get
cover
people
A.
who sign up as a subscription for Batman, but then on the same day they're signing up for Batman, they then pre-order Batman 133 and 134 because those are in the catalog, and we have to go, no, you don't need to do that. Eventually they learn, but it's still a confusing way of imparting that information. So my idealized version is a thing where the subscriptions is just, here are titles that you're down for. But the pre-order section are the actual issues you're going to be getting. So the subscription section, when the new catalogs come out, will have a list of all your titles and little drop-downs for all the individual issues that are coming out and all the covers that are available with hopefully little cover thumbnails. When you decide what cover you want for an issue, A, B, or C, whatever's available, that title then gets like a completed, and then all the issues that you've just flagged are now in your pre-order section. If you don't subscribe or make decisions within a certain time frame, hopefully set by the retailer, maybe set by Managed Comics, essentially like a few days before the catalog needs to get worked on, you will automatically be signed up for the A cover.
Okay.
So if you're someone who doesn't want to go into Managed Comics every single month and decide what covers you want, you're just going to get cover A.
Good.
Don't have to think about it. Totally painless. If you don't have all the cover images because Marvel or DC hasn't provided every single image yet and Managed Comics is still waiting for updated information, you can just leave that in a kind of to work on section, your subscription section, until the covers show up. And then you check back and it's like, oh, they're there. Okay, boom, I want cover B now.
How do you know when the covers show up?
You would probably just check back.
Okay.
So you would maybe get, like, we would have to send out a notification a week before the order's closed to say, hey, if you haven't already, in the same way that we send out a thing saying, hey, the catalogs are up, we might send out a thing saying, hey, the catalogs are about to close. If you haven't made your decisions yet, go now and check them out. Because sometimes it can be a week or two after the catalogs go up that all the cover images are finalized. Then it all makes sense. Like, one of the things that's a little frustrating for us on the retail side is never really knowing what issues we need for certain people. Because we can go in and we can look at subscription data, but we can't really know, okay, how many copies of Batman 132 do we need? Unless we are on, like, the FOC screen. You know what I mean? And even then, we're frequently finding out as orders come in, like, oh, we needed 13 copies, we got 12, but the 13th copy didn't trigger until this week. So when we were doing the ordering and we were looking at the invoice, we thought we had enough, but now we don't. Like, that happens semi-regularly.
Too often.
Too often. So yeah, my idealized version of Managed Comics is a thing where essentially everything is a pre-order and the subscription is just a thing that generates pre-orders. That's it. And I think that would be a thing that on the consumer side would be a lot more common sense to people to look at it. So they'd have a section where everything would just be, here are the things you have on order, instead of, here's a series that you'll get issues of, but you don't know exactly which ones, and you're not sure when and whatever.
But are you saying that also your subscription issues would show up in your pre-order section?
Yeah.
Like, it'll say Batman, and then underneath pre-orders it'll say Batman 134 cover, whatever.
Essentially, subscriptions are just a thing that tells you each month in the catalog what you are down for.
Would one-shots and special orders also just live in the pre-order section?
Everything would live in the pre-order section. So there would...
Except the subscription titles.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be agnostic in the sense of, like, you wouldn't have a tiny section down here where it's like, the one issue of Detective Comics you're getting, or the Saga graphic novel that you pre-ordered. Everything would just be in the pre-order section, so you'd be able to look very quickly and go like, oh, okay, here's all the things that I haven't gotten in yet that I'm going to get in. How many issues of Batman? How many issues of Amazing Spider-Man? Whatever.
In your mind, are they publisher order or alphabetical by publisher? Or?
Hopefully you'd be able to sort by columns. So in the same way you can now, where you can sort by title or you can sort by... I mean, I'm thinking about it mostly on the back end, so I don't know if that's how it looks on the consumer end. But hopefully. So, yeah, I don't know if that's viable as far as like how the database works, and I don't know if that's a thing that Managed Comics would even feel comfortable doing. But that's a thing that's my idealized version of what I want the consumer-facing subscription management stuff to look like, where it makes more sense and is more clear to people. Because right now it's it's a thing that people get used to. Like, I don't know if it's a system that ever is super intuitive so much as you just start to understand how things work and then you go along with it. And for new subscribers, that's the problem. Like, the people that we're onboarding who are experiencing a site just through, like, logging into Managed Comics and adding stuff don't understand a lot of the terminology or how things work.
And regardless of there being tutorials, videos or whatnot.
And that's the thing. Like, you can make all the tutorials you want. Some of this is because you and I were talking about how people this week had concerns or complaints, and you had said we should make up a thing of our own where we do a video where we explain Managed Comics, but it's like, you can't force people to watch that.
No, you can't.
Like, you have to make an idiot-proof system, basically. And so a lot of what my thought was something that you look at and it doesn't have to be explained to you. You don't have to explain terminology or why it's doing that. You just look at it and you're like, oh, I'm down for Batman, and then here are the Batman issues I'm getting. Like, that seems like it would make the most amount of sense.
It does. I wonder if it is a thing that is within the realm of possibility for Managed Comics.
I wonder. There's a lot of the things...
It's not like it's a systemic overhaul of the entire thing. It's just a more focused...
Yeah, I mean, all the things that I'm talking about, the individual data points exist within their system because they use them in the catalog every month. It's the same thing where when you go to the Managed Comics consumer-facing side and you type in Batman to see what Batman thinks you can subscribe to, you go to the Batman page and it'll tell you the issues that are coming out, in what order, what are the closing order dates, what are the covers that are available, can you pre-order it, subscribe to it. So all of that stuff, I feel it could be surfaced within a page on the consumer side, like within your account, because it does exist there somewhere.
Yeah.
And in theory, like, you would have a window of time where you could delete stuff or change stuff. So, like, in your pre-order section, you'd have a list of everything and maybe a little trash can icon if it's like, hey, the orders haven't closed on this yet.
You can dump it.
You can hit this button, or maybe like one of those little change icon things where it's like, oh no, I do want to switch this to a different one. Basically, up until the point where we have pushed a button on the store side that says, hey, we close these catalogs because we're working on them now. And now at that point, anything that wasn't already approved becomes a cover A, and that way we can start working on the catalogs.
Does it clearly say to people when they try to order something that they can't? Does it say, hey, sorry, you can't order this because the order window is closed?
Yeah, on the consumer-facing side, if you try and pre-order something, I think it'll be, the button will be grayed out or unavailable. I don't know what the exact verbiage is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the only thing with this, I don't 100% know how it would work for like FOC things or people signing up after a catalog is opened. Yes, you're not falling asleep with me telling you this.
You said after a catalog is open. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like, so what I'm thinking...
but my point is that I'm hearing it all.
Uh-huh.
I just am medicated.
You are, it's true.
Thank you for that.
You bet. Like, if...
I dropped my notes. That's what happened.
They fell right out of his hand.
Yeah.
Like, it dropped out like his entire body was asleep. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Managed Comics, and I would be willing to talk about this further with Brian Garside if you felt like it was valuable information.
So, devil's advocate,
yeah,
if it's a thing they can't do...
It's fine.
Okay. I didn't even have to finish that line of inquiry.
It
doesn't change any of the plans moving forward.
I would never feel comfortable telling someone how to run their business better in a way that's like, or else.
Well, no, I didn't mean or. I just meant, like, would you find less value in switching the website if these... Because the changes we're making aren't specific to Managed Comics changes. They're specific comics to our website, and we're just trying to make sure that those changes are also compatible for
I mean, they're incidental
usage
to Managed Comics.
Yeah.
The stuff that we're looking at is very specifically about how to grow the e-commerce side of Challengers.
And it is possible that when we change over the website for those e-commerce goals, the Managed Comics section stays the same as what it is now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's JavaScript. There's nothing we can really do about that.
Yeah.
But I did talk to Brian briefly, and he assured me that it does work fine with the 2.0. Online 2.0 templates.
It's my understanding there was not a thought stream yesterday. I thought there was supposed to be the first one of the...
Is that right? I do remember him saying that.
Yeah, and I told him we were going to miss it because of Wrestling Kingdom. But when I went looking for it last night to see what I could catch up on. I don't think there was one.
Maybe he also bailed on it to watch Wrestling Kingdom 17.
I mean, if he's smart.
Kyrie versus Tam Nakano. It's a good match. Short match. Good match.
I don't know if I understood those videos that Mike Lee sent of the Bull Nakano chat show.
I haven't watched that.
I'm not sure. I have a hard time believing it's the same person. Also, did you know she was a professional golfer, too?
No. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people golf.
That's true. So we had a meeting this week, which is a thing that I always want us to do more of, but we don't. But this was a...
No reason why. We just don't.
Yeah, we just don't.
We just don't.
A look ahead to 2023 and what we want to accomplish as a store and what the people that work with us have to say about those things. And we didn't open it up to everybody. Just logistically, I think it's hard to get everybody to come.
Yeah, it wasn't a full staff thing so much as just the people who work at least one day a week who could make it.
Yeah. But I think that a lot of good came out of it. And when I was going over my notes from it earlier today, I realized there was a bunch of stuff that I hadn't written down that I had to get into it. And while we always have, sales goals or whatever, or sell-through goals or things like that, we never physically write down and have a plan and had cultivated ideas that don't come from us that we are excited to get behind.
Sure.
Or also things that we may not be super excited for or sold on, but things that we think like, oh, if we can figure out how to work this, it'll work out. And I don't want to list like, oh, here's our goals and our hopes and our dreams for the year.
Right.
But it was very productive.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to do it more often.
Yeah, I think we've already talked about potentially trying to do one maybe post C2E2 or around Free Comic Book Day, something like that.
Yeah.
To revisit some of the things we talked about and see if we've made any progress on them or if there were additional problems that arose that we need to address.
And it's always good to get other people's feedback on it, especially people that work in the systems. And we're not used to really having other people weigh in on stuff.
Yeah, soliciting feedback is not as much of a thing.
We're always asking, but I feel like this time we got workable ideas.
It's true.
And some of it is physical labor, which I would love to start doing now, but...
Maybe wait a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I hate a run-up to a new year with ideas and plans and like, nope. Step back.
Yeah.
What can you do? I don't know. You'll try, and then when you figure out you can't do it, maybe that's too far.
Sure.
I don't know. My goodness. And one of the more important things of like, okay, we have a list of things we want to do. What's our roadmap? What are we going to work on first? What are we going to, what starts? And one of the ongoing jokes about Challengers is whenever we say like, oh, we'll do this in a couple months, Dow immediately starts working on it.
Yeah, I don't like putting things off, especially for the store. I'd rather...
When it's a good idea or something that excites you, yeah.
Yeah, and mostly because you never know how long something's going to take. So I'd rather get started on it now, and then, if there are complications or if there's things that I don't quite know how to do, I have time to figure it out. Like, it's nice working on the website redesign now because it's not going to roll out for another, 6 weeks. So I can play around with stuff. I can work on things kind of as I get excited about different elements.
And I know that's true, but I also know by Tuesday you'll be like, it's ready.
Well, I mean, like I said, we could literally roll it out tomorrow if we really needed to. There are things in place. It's just, it could be better, and some of that is just trying to figure out how to do that.
But would it be better for the sale to have that site?
Potentially, but I don't want to risk it.
Okay.
I know that
because you know how the sale worked last year and you're
right.
comfortable with that and you don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there'd be anything catastrophic, but that's the last place I'd want to find out.
But what about the fact that we get way more eyes during that week on the site don't you think that the better site might encourage people to come back quicker or at all?
Well, no. So I think it's a thing where we'll definitely be sending out an email to everyone who's bought something on the website about the sale in advance of it, and then probably right at the end of it. But then we'll probably send out another email when the new website is up to go, hey, we've redesigned our website. Take a look. Hopefully you can find things easier, whatever. And then one of the things we talked about at the staff meeting was that just, again, basic e-commerce stuff. We'll probably be sending out more emails to people who are not subscribers, and I guess also technically subscribers, to say, hey, the website's been updated with new items this week, or hey, check out this collection that you've maybe not seen before. We've added more stuff to our discount section, whatever. All the super basic stuff that we've never really done.
Yeah.
And so that will hopefully get people checking out the new website beyond just like showing up and being surprised.
Okay, so there were a couple of things that came in today that were received for the first time in our store through Managed Comics.
Neat.
What specifics do I need to go back and change once a book is imported?
If it's it depends on the item. The main things you need to check on, depending on the item, are product type needs to be changed.
Man, you know what I just realized?
What's that?
That book that I called you about today?
Yeah.
I never did anything with it because Gina had said, hey, I know you need to work on this, but can I still call on it and let them know the book is here, because it's a special order?
Right.
And I said, sure. She must have called on it and then put it in the hold box, and then it's out of my sight.
Sure.
So I've done nothing with it.
It hasn't been received yet. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So
when you receive it, the stuff you're going to want to change, your product type.
Oh, you think I'm going to remember by tomorrow to receive it? I'll have to take it out of the box.
Sure. I'll email you. You're going to want to change product type.
Yep.
You're going to want to make sure the publisher is correct. There's certain stuff that Managed Comics just buries under other publisher, and we get a lot more granular than that because we need to make sure that Stocky is triggering stuff correctly.
See, I never remember in that field if it's supposed to be Marvel or who it comes from.
Basically, all you do in the vendor thing is delete it and then click outside of it. And then when you go back to click, it'll give you basically a drop down of every publisher that's already there.
Yeah. So
you'll pick the correct one. You don't have to type in and figure it out.
Publisher, not distributor.
Correct.
Okay. That was my question.
Yeah, you never put in distributor because distributor is only a thing in Stocky.
Okay.
Because Stocky needs publishers because that's how Stocky knows who.
But
when you're doing a reorder with Penguin Random House and you need to generate it, what books does Penguin Random House have? Like, that's where you need that information.
Sure, but like when we're checking in Chessex Dice,
right?
It usually defaults to Southern Hobby as opposed to we put in Chessex.
Whatever. For stuff like that, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Just don't make it Challengers.
Because I did an order of dice today.
Challengers should only be something like Challengers is only the vendor if it's something that is exclusive to the store.
I reordered some boards, some Silver and Golden Age boards.
I saw.
And the per unit cost, or our retail, goes up by $2 an item. Yeah.
Stuff's getting more expensive.
Yeah, it really is. And it made me double take. I'm like, do I go through our secondary vendor for this? Or... Because look, for one of them, like I didn't realize we haven't had golden boards for a while, but they're in stock. So fine, we ordered those. The price can go up.
Sure.
But then I restocked silver, which we have like a case worth of silver on the sales floor. But the newer ones would be at a higher price.
Sure.
So it's a matter of waiting until we're completely sold out of the other, because I don't just want to arbitrarily be like, oh, these are $1 more now.
Sure.
Or whatever. Golden is going up by 2. Silver can get away with going up by 1.
Okay. Product type, vendor. If it's a non-tax item like a comic book, you need to unflag charge taxes.
Okay.
If it's a draft item, you want to flag continue selling if out of stock.
What do you mean draft item? As opposed to active?
Yes. A draft item for a subscription thing.
Yeah.
We always want to flag on continue selling it even if out of stock, because if the quantities get screwed up and you try and sell
It'll block
a
you.
negative
No,
draft.
I get it. I just didn't realize that we have sellable draft
Yes.
items.
Any subscription item that you create an invoice for
Is a draft.
item. That doesn't become an active item like it does in POS. And then the last two things that you want to do are graphic novel only. You want to add genre shelving codes.
Yeah.
Managed Comics will already give it a genre code, but we have our own internal tagging for that. And then you'll want to go to Stocky and add restocking levels if it's a graphic novel we're going to restock that we've never had before.
Do we want to tag creators, or do we want to make sure creators are in the description?
Creators are already tagged within any Managed Comics import.
But where? Or how?
In the tags.
Okay, what if they're not?
That's the thing that we're going to be doing. We definitely want to make sure that any item that we're selling has the appropriate creator tags to better do the various filtering options that Online Store 2.0 lets us do.
There
which
were
is something I'm working on today with. So, quick segue.
Yeah.
Filtering is one of the things I love the most about Online Store 2.0. It's a super basic function that nearly every e-commerce website has, but ours hasn't, which is basically creating fields where you can drop down and go, okay, I'm searching for Batman. Here's 1,000 Batman items, probably literally, that we have in the store. Okay, I just want to see the Batman comics that Grant Morrison wrote. Within that, if you have filtering for Online Store 2.0, ideally you have a section that says writer, and then you do a drop down and you find Grant Morrison. You click the little checkbox for Grant Morrison, and now you've filtered all of your search results to just be Grant Morrison Batman comics.
Yep.
So
That's a good noise.
So Shopify allows you to do that, but you need a plugin to actually do it.
Of course, it's Shopify. Everything's
Sure.
a plugin.
Here's the great news. Shopify makes a free plugin themselves that allows you to do filtering.
Oh,
Problem is, it's incredibly limited and almost unhelpful. The fields it allows you to filter are availability, in stock or out of stock.
yeah.
Price, so you can have like a little price range. So if you're like, oh, just show me stuff that's under $20. Vendor, so if you're like, oh, just show me the DC stuff, not another publisher. And then the tags. Great, tags is where all the information about creators lives, writer, artist, etc. Tags just mean it will show you the tags. You can't specify what tags you want to show.
Oh, wow.
So I go to their app store, and I'm like, well, there's got to be a third-party solution, because that's what the third-party apps are for, is fixing all the stuff that Shopify can't bother to get all the way to the finish line with. Immediately found a great one. Tons of great reviews, tons of installations. Downloaded it, installed it, played around with it. Oh my God, it's great. It does absolutely everything I want it to do in exactly the way I want it to do it. What a lot of the filtering apps do is they charge you not based on the installation or features. What it's charging you on is,
Per usage?
how big is your library?
Oh, no.
Our library is massive, not only because we have a lot of individual items received every week, but because we have double that because of the way that Managed Comics creates draft items off of every active item.
Oh, no.
We have over 20,000 items in our library. That puts us at the higher tier, which would cost us, any guess how much this app would cost us per month?
$80 a month.
$129 a month.
Oh, no.
So immediately I'm like, I love this. We can't do this. As much as I love it, there's no way this thing is going to make us an additional $40 a week reliably to pay for itself, let alone any more money.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, thanks. So then it was 2 days of like, let me try out other stuff. Oh, like their payment plans are also terrible. Oh, they're super unintuitive. Oh, they don't really do the things we want them to do. So currently I'm playing around with 2 different ones. The second one is the most recent one I installed. And after getting it on board, I'm like, I don't think this is going to let us do what we want it to do. It's basically just the Shopify one. But then there's one I do like, but the problem is how it goes about doing things is insane. It basically goes through and creates a collection for every single tag result that you could possibly have. So we have a number of collections right now. A collection is just like drama graphic
The topic
novels.
we give it. Yeah. A subject matter, a theme.
Image single issues. We have like 20 of them. It's no big deal. What this thing is doing is every single creator
becomes their own
collection that basically gets surfaced when you click a button. And that changes dynamically based on as you add more items. So it created thousands of collections that have anywhere between like 25 and 0 items.
Oh, no.
And it's like, this is a nightmare because those collections have to be available in certain places. You don't have to put them on the website in like a visible way, but it has to be available for Shopify to surface them in a search. So there's almost no way to make them invisible on the back end. So if you needed to find a collection you're actively using or one that you need to get into, you got to remember what that thing's called, because it's like, you're not looking at a list of 20, you're looking at a list of like 3,000.
No.
Yeah, so it's like, I was turning all that off and getting rid of it, but it's like, that might still be our best solution, because it's only like $20 a month. So it's like, that's
and
viable.
Even that is like, God.
I mean, it's dumb, but it's like $5 a week. I don't know. Like, if more people are using the website, we have to have this functionality, or else they'll never find anything.
Right.
But it's still just a thing of like, God, this, oh man. But I'm playing around with it, so I don't know. Maybe it's not going to do that. It also may or may not have screwed up a whole bunch of our creator tags.
Uh-oh.
Didn't delete them or anything, but it just reformatted them for their tagging usage, and it's like, no, change them back. And I don't know if it can change them back. I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, speaking of searching nightmares,
Yes.
a book came in today that when... basically, there was a handful of books today that had wrong barcodes.
Yeah.
Or changed barcodes or new barcodes or whatever. And
You did say you got an Ingram order in.
shockingly, none of them were manga.
Yeah, I had one this week. It was the mini book of Marvel Heroes or whatever.
Yeah.
It had changed, and it went up by like $3.
So this one was literally the worst book to possibly search for in our system. A trade paperback.
Was it Dogman?
Nope.
I don't know.
Marvel.
Oof. That's the one. Yeah, we haven't had it before, and it took me a while to find that out.
Yeah.
We only had the Treasury edition. We didn't have the trade paperback.
Yes, the Marvel trade paperback came in today, and once it was received, it wouldn't scan. So I'm like, okay, the barcode is wrong. Let me go look for it. You type in, because it's just called Marvel TP.
It's just called Marvel.
Marvel TP. That's it. Do you know what it brings up?
What you could maybe do, and I haven't tried this, I don't have it in front of me, is you could do Marvel in quotes and see if that just surfaces like the title Marvel.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but you'd still get every Captain Marvel.
When you type in Marvel TP, you get literally every Marvel Comics graphic novel in our system.
Yeah. When I was looking for it before, because someone had asked for it, and I'm like, I don't see it in our system anywhere, I had to basically sort it alphabetically and then just keep going in the catalog until you hit the Marvel section. Then it's like, no, we don't have it.
Midway through, I'm like, what if I just searched by the diamond code? No, we didn't have that in there.
No.
And the barcode was just off by, like, it didn't have the final digit.
Oh, interesting.
It wasn't even a price differential. It was just like, it missed the last number.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I found it eventually, but I thought, this is the dumbest book to have to look up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What were the other ones? I can't remember. But, I mean, that's why today's reorder, or today's UPS shipment was massive, and it's all just restock.
Yeah.
And the number of, it was like 18 packages. Wow. Because there were so many single TIFOs, single envelopes.
Yeah. We got a box from Parrots that had one graphic novel in it.
Yeah.
Just like and it wasn't even a big one. It was just like a regular graphic novel.
It was 3:00, and we were still finishing it.
Jesus.
And it's, like, granted, there's things in my head that I'm like, I want to start doing these things, but I don't know how physically capable I am of it at the moment.
Sure.
And it's just as well because it was 3:00 and we're still finishing up these orders.
Yeah.
And UPS came within like the first half hour.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It's just, it's so much. And if these were diamond boxes, it would be, I think, so much easier to, but it's not, because we have to do so much work for each thing. There was a giant stack that did not have a packing list, so it's like, okay, find all these, what purchase order are these from,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's always the case of like, hey, half of the books on this invoice didn't show up. That's because they came in earlier and have already been received.
Right.
So they're already there.
Yeah, the packing slips that we get from the invoices, not even packing slips that we get from Penguin Random House, are one of the biggest frustrations with restocking
Because
books.
they're not what's in the box.
No, it's totally
everything
random.
from the order.
Yeah. And that's completely unhelpful when they can show up on different days, be in different boxes. Yeah, we got the first half of that order we got in Wednesday, and it included no packing slip. So I had to keep... I'd be on a page where I thought I had all the items, and it's like, none of these items are here. So then I'd have to take the book and then search in Stocky, like, what purchase order is this book on?
Yeah.
And then I'd find it, and here's the other 3 things in this pile. And then I'd get to a 4th book and be like, okay, now this isn't in that order. Which order was that in? Yeah,
This is the second
Penguin Random
Friday.
House is insane.
The second Friday in a row, we got a single copy of Uzumaki in a single package with no packing slip.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, find it.
Yeah.
Why is it always that book? I don't know. And it was on this podcast like 2 months or so ago that we had suggested, hey, we need to scan every book to make sure the codes are right.
Right.
And there've been so many mistakes we've caught.
Yeah, which is great.
But it's still one extra step.
It is.
And it's not a hard step, but it's a time
Yeah,
consuming
it's
step.
just more shit they have to do. I don't love it.
No. And you know what? It's never getting better.
No, it's not the sort of process that we can like automate or
Fix.
yeah, there's no way to catch it beyond scan the books when they come in to find out if the publishers changed the barcode, because they probably have. Like, the reason why this is a problem is because we scan the entire barcode. Like, almost every distributor, and I assume every bookstore, only uses the first portion of the ISBN. They don't use the +5.
Well,
so
the +5 isn't technically the ISBN. That's just the price, right?
Sure.
So the ISBN is just the
it's,
first.
It's technically the ISBN 13+5.
Okay.
Like, so it is and it isn't. It's part of the barcode, but it's not part of the ISBN. The ISBN is its own thing. But what's weird to me about it is, okay, so if you don't scan it, if you don't scan the extension and the price changes, the book still comes up in your system. Great. How do you know the price changed?
Right.
Like,
because you'll be ringing
the
it up
ISBN
at
is
the wrong...
same, and the publishers just suddenly decided, well, that's not a $10.99 book now, that's a $12.99 book. Like, okay, where is the point in the process where that
is communicated
Yeah.
to the reseller
beyond me
or
just
the seller? Excuse me, the seller.
beyond me seeing it maybe when I place the reorder, and even then, I'm not looking at those individual prices, especially if I only have the first portion of the ISBN. I won't even know the price has changed.
And that's why when we're scanning a graphic novel and you get the hey, it didn't scan code, I don't just want to look it up in the system, because you could look it up and say, oh, there it is, and click it, and it's the wrong price.
Right.
So you got to go in, and if it's the wrong price, fix the price. And half the times, the price is correct in the system, but the barcode reflects the wrong price.
Sure.
And it made me wonder, like, how did it get changed? How did the price change in the description, but not in the code?
That's weird.
That happened today. It's like, it says it's $14.99, but the barcode says $12.99. So somewhere along the way that was communicated, but not entirely.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's the communication across all channels now that is what's really
It needs to be unified.
the backbone
I wish more
of comic book commerce and
I
retail.
wish more companies would unify it.
This is the point in the year where we remove all of the Christmas cards
We do.
from the subscriber boxes because Christmas is over.
Yep.
Although one subscriber who had their own box, that card didn't get taken out. So they got their card today.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. When they're spending $300, they can have a card.
It's true, but it just means they're spending $300 because they haven't come in 2 months.
Right.
Well, that's good.
But what is better is over the years, we keep track of the number of leftover cards.
Right.
And this year's number is the lowest it's been. It's still a ridiculously, stupidly high number.
Yes. A lot of people who just did not come in the entire month of December.
Because the cards go in the boxes December 1st and come out. Actually, this year they came out like January 3rd.
Right.
The number was 74. 74 subscribers did not come in for the entirety of December.
Right.
And immediately I'm like, wow, that's like 15 to 20 lower than it usually is.
Mm-hmm.
It's still 74 people
It's a lot.
who, if they would come in, maybe December's numbers would be a little bit better.
Maybe.
Now that we've done the actual paperwork, we are 0.5% higher than 2021.
We did it.
We went up.
It's a gain.
I haven't done the cost analysis yet, but we went up in sales by 0.5 of a percentage point.
Wow. Thanks, December.
Yep. And granted, we had awful Christmas week weather, and Christmas week needs to be a big week to push us through things.
Sure.
74 people.
Thanks.
Yeah. I wonder where I would fall in that. I mean, Wednesdays are still our biggest day, and the term Wednesday warrior I was never a fan of, but there's still a lot of people that come in just Wednesdays.
Sure.
But I wonder what I would be like. When I was in college, I would schedule my classes
Wow.
around being able to get to Northern Lights bookstore to get the comics on the day they came out.
I mean, if I had the same work schedule, but it wasn't in comics, I'd probably go in Thursday, except that's a Molly Jane day, so I probably wouldn't go in then.
Yeah, but it's a seller day.
Yeah, it's fine. No, I'd probably just go on Thursday because it's the closest day to Wednesday, and I have it off.
Sure, but what if you didn't have it off? Would you come Wednesday nights or would you come on the weekend?
It's interesting. If it was on my way home, I'd probably go Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that depending on where I worked and lived, like I might just be at a different shop entirely, but I'm sure there'd be a shop on my way home no matter where I lived in the city.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably go Wednesday nights. It depends on the week, like a lot of people. If there wasn't anything huge that I was super excited about, I might just go in like Thursday night or Friday night or Saturday or Sunday or whatever.
Before I was in the industry, I would just have enough time on my lunch break to get to the store, get the books, and get back.
Sure.
No eating.
Right.
But I could get the books, and that was the important
There were
part.
drive-thrus I'm sure you could have taken advantage of.
I always brought my lunch. Drive-thrus are expensive.
There, it's true.
What we're doing right now, you and I, are recording a podcast, and this will be up in a couple days.
Okay.
Last night, I recorded a podcast. I was on Comics, Coffee, and Metal with Don Cardenas.
Nice.
And that goes up on January 13th. And I'm also, tomorrow, doing my yearly check-in with David Harper's Off-Panel podcast. Mm-hmm. And that will go up immediately.
Oh, okay.
It'll go up, he'll turn it around right away.
Sure.
I think, no, I'm sorry. No. I think we're doing it. We were supposed to record next Saturday, but I can't do it for family reasons. Mm-hmm. So David bumped it up, but then his schedule changed as well. So I think he's putting it out right away as well. So this is a busy talking week.
Yes.
And while technically Contest of Challengers should always give me homework, mm-hmm. there should always be, and now that I've said this before, now that I carry this notebook around with me to the store.
Yes. To work.
The only things I'd written were these top bits here.
Well, okay.
I didn't come armed with anything because things just didn't come up.
Sure.
Plus, I've been out of it.
Yeah, it's true.
But David gave me homework, which is good because the normal things that we talk about at this point in the year, a lot of it I can't do because we can't do our annual reporting.
No.
We don't have articles on our website that show the top 100 graphic novel sales. We don't have the top 100 single issue sales, as for reasons we've discussed in previous weeks. Mm-hmm. So, and it's never just like listing that, but it is definitely a look ahead at retail in 2023. And that's one of the reasons I really was pushing for our meeting this past week, was so I could at least have in my head our plans.
Sure.
And David is a smart guy who extrapolates out to the entire retail community, not what Challengers is focusing at, but how is Challengers prepared to confront the challenges that retailers have already brought up
Sure.
for the year. So we'll be talking about that. And I was going over our Linktree account today with Gina and voicing my... So one of the cheats I came up with last night when talking to Don, because I've been told that our Linktree is too busy. It's got too many things.
Too many things.
And Gina agreed with that. And she's like, look, you have a post to every single social media site you have. What's the best one for you for returns? I'm like, we have the most followers on Twitter, but who wants to send people to Twitter?
Sure.
I would think it's Instagram, but I don't even know specifically.
Yeah, I think Twitter, Instagram, maybe TikTok. I feel like that's the social media stuff worth directing people towards.
But then I thought, there are a lot of Linktree-esque programs out there.
Uh-huh.
So what if I get an account at, like, Shrubtree, and then on Shrubtree, which is not real, I just made it up.
Right.
Go figure. And then did a page just full of all of our socials, and then had that just be one post on Linktree.
Oh, God. Nested list within Linktree.
Right?
Patrick, no.
It's cheating.
Stop doing this to people.
Yeah, I don't know. So I will be working on that. But I do like the idea of, like, hey, Patrick's appearance on Off Panel. That's like the top Linktree post.
Sure.
Obviously, the e-commerce site, the podcast, and a social media site. Like, is that it?
Sure.
I guess. I don't know.
Mailing list.
Now we're at 5. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It just seems that understanding social media engagement is a never-ending process, and it's always changing. So it's...
I also hate it. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
know
what
it.
you're saying?
I know it. But it's integral, and nothing we had to think about 15 years ago.
No. Quite the opposite.
I reached out to a few creators who I know will be in town for C2E2 to be like, hey, come to our party. Come to our 15th anniversary. And we'll see if it happens or not. But I know more and more local, like, small press creators who have been denied C2E2 tables.
That's too bad.
So who can say? And the C2E2 site doesn't have a full list of...
They're still in the rollout phase.
Yeah. I mean, the only real comics guest they've mentioned so far is Dan Mora.
Yeah, they had a few smaller people that they announced today.
Oh, okay. Anybody that we know personally?
Don't think so. It was like 4 people.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's like a couple people in there we know professionally, but no one that we know really well.
Gotcha. And I get it. You want to keep the rollout. You want to keep excitement. You want to keep getting people to come back to your brands. It's just harder to make plans.
Sure.
But then again, why would they care? Because it's our plans, not theirs.
True.
I tried to emphasize a couple of books this week. Like, I really like Kaya. I don't think Kaya sells anywhere near where it should.
Nope.
If you like Amulet, Kaya. If you like John and the Impossible Monsters, Kaya.
But those books don't sell great.
I know. Oh, I mean, Amulet is a different beast.
And
But
well, that's the thing. Like, the problem with Kaya isn't that it's a bad book. It's just that it's a all-ages fantasy adventure book in periodical form from Image.
yeah.
Like, you might as well bury it at sea. Like, no one is going to look for it. They're never going to find it.
I liked Mosley, #1. So I did like a post just for that separately. Because we've talked about this before. We'll do our video picks on Tuesdays of books for people to take a look at. Sometimes I haven't read those books. And sometimes read them later and be like, oh man, this is good. I wanted to push it.
Yeah. Again, like the stuff that will most get mentioned on the Instagram video is Marvel and DC stuff because we've had the longest amount of time to read that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything that we get from Diamond, we just got like 2
That
hours
day.
ago. And we very rarely have time to read it. So it needs to be something that like we got a preview of months ago and we actually sat down and read it, which is not a high number of books.
There was a club member in today, and I go, hey, let me pitch you on a book for the future. It's called Where Monsters Lie, and it's, okay, I'm down. What? Sign me up. But I didn't tell you about it. He's like, I trust you.
I'm very glad Dark Horse has made that returnable.
If
Because
you,
we're going to get a lot of copies.
If you tell me it's a good book, I want it. I'm like, oh man, that's pretty great. But what's great about it is
I hope
the book
Alan
is
Moore
great.
enjoys it. This is Alan Moore, right? It was Alan Moore who came in? You didn't do the accent, but I assumed it was Alan Moore.
I thought it would be just mean to do the accent.
I'm sorry, the original writer.
It's kind of great to have people just trust you. And then they said, well,
Also terrifying.
yeah, they said, you've never given me a bad recommendation. I'm like, but we're going to have to.
Yeah. Please let me explain.
We need to have a bad one so we can better judge what you like.
As confident as you may be in our recommendations, please at least let us give you the pitch so you can make an informed decision. Don't just say, like, whatever you recommend is good. No, because you may not like some element of it that you don't even know about because you've stopped me dead in my tracks. Like,
And we had a club member look at the upcoming releases
yeah.
Flyer at the front counter and literally do this. They're giving Jeff a book?
Yeah, they are.
Right?
So excited. Brand new, only in print story for It's Jeff #1. As well as all of the digital stuff from Marvel Unlimited. Season 1, I think.
Just season 1, yes.
Yeah, I don't think Marvel has ever said it, but the page count leads me to think, depending on how they're formatting it, it can only be season 1.
Yeah. And then they said,
especially because season 2,
count
I think,
me in.
just ended today or next week or something.
Yeah.
Very
For those people who don't know, it's a book that we'll be pushing to everyone. Jeff is the land shark that is basically Gwenpool's sidekick, but also has his own adventures all throughout the Marvel Universe, and he originated in West Coast Avengers.
Yep.
And his solo adventures are written by Kelly Thompson and drawn by the best.
Guru Hero.
I was wanting you to say the best.
The best, the best, the best.
Guru Hero.
But see, if I do that, people think Ortiz drew it. Ortiz didn't draw it. But much like Santana and Ortiz are the best, Guru Hero is another tag team that is the best.
I was talking to someone recently. I'm like, yeah, those women are so great. Like, what? I thought it was one guy.
2 ladies.
Yeah.
2 incredibly talented, possibly overworked Japanese ladies.
Probably overworked Japanese
Oh my god,
ladies.
they got so many things. Like, I was on Ami, as I frequently am, and I typed in Guru Hero, as I frequently do, just to see, like, do they have new merch that's only available in Japan that I've never heard of? And sure enough, they do. It's similar to the little PVC guys.
Yeah.
It's these acrylic charms.
Okay.
Where you can either have them in a stand, or you can have them, like,
Are they flat or 3-dimensional?
flat but thick.
Okay.
So you can have them either on a stand, or you can have them, like, with a little dog tag style chain that you can then put on, like, a bag or a keychain or whatever.
Can it be like a bracelet charm chain?
You could put it around a bracelet thing, but it has its own little... The strap on it, the chain, is very short.
Okay. Like, are they on individual hooks or something? You can take them off separately?
Yeah, because it's just a small acrylic charm that has, like, a little hole punched in it where the chain goes through.
Oh,
So you
okay,
can take the
okay.
chain on or off. You can chain them all together.
I assume
whatever.
they're like half an inch.
I don't know the exact size because it's Ami and they use centimeters like a lunatic. Judging by the price point, I think they're probably more like 1.5 to 2 inches tall.
Okay. Is the price point per charm or per
box of charms? A case of 18 charms is like $170.
Okay. But is it 18 different charms or
Yeah.
is it like blind box?
It's a set of 18. It's a dumb thing where, like,
Oh man, that's a lot of money for 18 charms.
yeah, I think they're blind box, but the thing is, like, in a case you get all 18. So, like, and unfortunately it's 2-dimensional versions of the ones I already have. It's Cap and Iron Man and Thor and Black Widow and Hulk and Thanos and Doctor Strange. There's some new ones. There's like a Shuri. There's a Tony Stark instead of Iron Man. But nothing where it's like super weird deep cut stuff. Like there's not a Gwenpool. There's not a Alex Power. There's not a Katie Bishop. It's
Sorry.
not that sort of stuff.
It's
So
just the cinematic universe characters.
Yeah, it's stuff they've mostly already done line art for, with a couple new ones. So I didn't pull the trigger on it because it was just like...
No, I understand.
As much as I love their stuff, I can't just go in for every Japanese thing that gets
Right.
produced, especially when they're $10 a piece.
And the size of them makes them impractical to wear as jewelry.
Yeah, I mean, the yen is very much in our favor right now, but it was still a point where I'm like, I can't do this. Had to let him go. But yeah, Guru Hero, a lot of stuff coming out. A lot of things.
Well, it's a good year to be them, I guess.
I hope so. I think it's always a good year to be Guru Hero.
And ultimately, I hope that it's a great year to be us.
Yeah.
Checks his notes, has nothing else. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.